what are the practical changes that employers can bring in the work culture, infuse in, so that it infuses more liberty and happiness in the workplace as a whole?
And again, I think this part is even more important. And I hope this video somehow reaches certain employers as well. And again, I would
Yeah.
request the audience also to share this video so that it can reach out to more people. And here are a list of things that I think employers can do, and which again, uh, one individual can practice meditation, seek emotional support, but that won't address the systematic problem. And I think systematic
Exactly.
problem one is to destigmatize talking about stress, because usually what happens is if someone says that stress बहुत ज़्यादा है, then naturally certain sentences come, stress तो होता ही है, इतना stress तो लेना ही पड़ेगा अगर promotion चाहिए etc. So anyone expressing stress is in a way dismissed, that this is useless, stress तो होगा ही, and even managers convey the same. This reminds me
Yeah.
of, at one point I was not well when I was working 7 years back in the job. I took 2 days off and went to office on the third day. My boss asked me, "What happened? You didn't come for 2 days." I said I was not well. He said, "ये क्या होता है? दो लगाते हैं सब ठीक हो जाता, आ जाते ऑफिस." And I think somewhere around I
Oh my
just
god.
got done with that system, that again, even there is no space for physical health there as well. He said कि दो लगाते हैं
Oh
fever
my
चला
god.
जाता, आ जाता. So I think that is important, that if someone is not well physically or psychologically, it should be seen with compassion rather than giving such. So basically he was saying that stress is usual, or even if you're unwell you should come to office,
Yeah.
which I think will suddenly disconnect to people, that the organization doesn't care about me, why should I care about you?
Exactly. Exactly.
Another is things like overtime, etc., are also taken for granted these days. Some of my clients have said that, again, because of COVID, there are no boundaries of what are the work timings. People are
Exactly.
supposed to work at night, during the weekend. There are no boundaries, and I think,
It's true for colleges as
yeah,
well.
for colleges, and
University.
which is again a unhealthy culture, because it can again make the employee feel that the organization doesn't care about. And if you don't care about the employee won't care about you. Eventually the work will suffer, and our profits or whatever
Correct.
we are trying to achieve will suffer if there is no trust. Another important part is that this I think slowly is happening in the uh, Indian subcontinent as well, that different employee assistant programs are coming up, which was not the case earlier. You can consider it some kind of a counseling service within the organization, and again it must be
Okay.
done in a confidential way, not that the counselor will go and tell everything to the employer, but in a
Yeah.
confidential, some counseling service or employee assistant program should be there, where employees can just go and express themselves. That can also be a very good way of managing stress. And another thing which I would suggest, especially the young startups, is that deadlines are important, but uh, this should not become a culture that we will set very tight deadlines. Because again, you will feel pressurized, you will pressurize your employees, then employees will get frustrated and they will retaliate directly or indirectly, and the work will suffer. Rather, it should be discussed in a mutual way. That's the best way. That what should we keep the deadline to be, and then that can be negotiated rather than imposing deadlines.
Correct.
And again, startups are. There is a good hype about startups, but it should be ensured that because startup is dreaming to become a big company, and for it to become a big
Yeah.
company, the
Correct.
culture should be sustainable. You might push things for
Exactly.
1 or 2 years, but then if you're not able to sustain it, then the company will be affected in the future. So it should be done from the
Correct.
very beginning of the an organization. And last, I think if even if in case there is some sort of overtime etc. is needed, there should be rewards and compensation for that, rather than just expecting कि ये तो करना ही पड़ेगा.
Right.
So these are some of the changes which can be made from the management side.
Okay. What you mentioned about like mutually deciding the deadlines and everything, I think that happens in established companies. Startups, like maybe they're new to this and because they're rushing it, that's why they are making it that way.
And
The other way around.
sometimes I think a lot of even big startups are coming up. They are being started by very young people, which is good in a way. I think Zepto
Yeah.
was one example. It is one of the founders is 19, 20-year-old. So which in a way is a good thing,
Okay.
but they must be mentored by a senior, or they themselves should realize that
Yeah.
it's not only about getting the funding and just getting the work done. The interpersonal part of it, the trust factor in an organization is very important, and that must be taken care of. Otherwise, it might take a good initial start, but it's not sustainable.
Hmm.
If you create a culture of competition and lack of trust in the organization, that will impact the organization sooner.
Okay. So we were talking about this growth of an organization, and I think it also requires the growth of individual employees as well.
Mm.
When we're looking at growth, it is a wholesome concept. So, what do you think helps organizations grow, whether it's competition or collaboration among the employees? And what impact either of this has on the individual stress that the employees feel in their lives?
Absolutely. Mm. And again, I think growth, because eventually organization wants to grow, employees also wants to grow.
Exactly.
So it's in the best interest for both the parties that if it's a collaborative approach. So this again reminds
Yeah.
me of one of my clients where, and again it was a startup which has a good funding and it was growing at a fast pace. The founder, what he did was he gave the same project to two different employees who had similar skill set, and he asked that both of you do it and let me see who will do it better, and if accordingly your promotion and your salary etc would also get affected. Now this is a culture of creating
Yeah.
competition which might in the short term lead to better quality of work because there is competition, but it is also creating some insecurity in both the employees that I have to fight this person, I have to fight this person. Eventually there is no trust in the system, and which will sooner or later will come back home, like affecting the organization itself. For the short term, this might lead to good result, but long term trust is fundamental need of human beings, and wherever there is no trust, people leave. They don't stay. Another example
Right.
is so employees again they might also feel very energetic and passionate that I'm ready, give me as much as work you can, but eventually our body and mind has its own limits, and if we put too much pressure on it, the individual will start to suffer and then the organization will suffer. And I think there are a lot of research which says that because of stress people take absent from the organization, and then those number of days of absenteeism, if they are combined, then eventually it is affecting the revenue and profits as well. So eventually it is
Oh.
even financially you are suffering if you increase competition and stress in the environment.
Make sure you subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon so that whenever we come up with a new video, you are notified about it. Thank you.